Horticultural Society, and I present the plant forum. And this is where normally, if we are in-person meetings, you can see by the picture there, we do a table and discuss, like what Bart is presenting, cultivars. We've discussed new plants, old plants, plants that need identification, and plants that people just want to show off from their garden. So just also a quick little update, considering it is one of those California native cultivars. Last month, I actually put into the forum Acanthus Eldorado. No, not Eldorado. Sorry, I'm blanking on the name now. Yes, it is. No, it's Eldorado, the variegated one. And I just wanted to do an update that there's now a hummingbird nest in that. So I was very happy to see that the other day. It got a late hummingbird nest. So the first plant we'll talk about is, this is Acanthus Whitewater. Let me make sure I'm on full. Nope. There we go. This is Acanthus Whitewater. And there are a number of variegated Acanthus out there. This one is highly variegated. There's a lot of white in the foliage on this one. I grow, I think, one called Angel Wing. There's a number of them out there. They're a little more tender than the regular Acanthus mollis. And at least in my garden, I have to grow mine in a pot. I think I'm starting to have problems with gophers, and I think the gophers would get to it otherwise. Acanthus comes from the Mediterranean, and for those of you who know your architecture, the foliage is always in the scroll work at the top of columns in Greek architecture, and it's because of the plant represented to them, birth, life, death, and then regeneration, because it comes back from it actually goes away in the late summer. It's completely dormant, and then it springs up again with the first rain. So these cultivars are really quite stunning in the garden. They actually provide a big pop of color in partial shade, and they will scorch in hot sun. So you do need to keep them safe from hot sun, and they're a bit frost tender as well. Laura Bauer is actually displaying this one tonight, and also the next is hers. It's California native. This is one of our California native onions, Allium unifolium, excuse me. And it's quite a strong grower and will grow on almost any soil. So this one you can put it in just about any garden. And as Laura says, it tends to seed around a little. And if you do have extra seedlings coming up and you don't want them, you can eat them. So this is a good edible, blooming right now, and it will be gone in just another about a month and a half. You won't see any signs of it at all. So they go away fairly quickly once they finish flowering and we get warmer, drier weather. The next plant, forgive me, I'm going to probably murder that. It's Mathiasella
It's a mouthful, Steve. I say bupleuroides, but
bupleuroides. It rolls right off the tongue.
You said it better than I would have, Steve.
This is actually a distant relative of carrots. And you can kind of see that in the foliage there with these remarkable pendulous flowers that are green with a little hint of, looks like a hint of pink in there. It's named after Mildred Mathias. She did not discover this. If you go on this, if you want to actually look at the history of the plant in cultivation, if you go on the San Marcos website, they have the information there about the people who discovered it and when it was first listed and things. But it is named after Mildred Mathias, a past Horticulturist of the Year recipient from Southern California Horticultural Society. And actually, I think if I read correctly, Carol Bornstein actually gave the seed to, was it you know what, I'm gonna mess that up. I read this really quickly. So go on the San Marcos growers website. They actually don't have any right now. They say that they're in between. They're trying their best to get it back into production. Apparently they're using their own plant for seed production, and it seems to be an every other year sort of thing for them. So this is something, it's every once in a while when we do these plant forum things, I start marking down on my plant lust booklet. I keep names aside to do searches every once in a while. This is one of those things I think I'm gonna keep on my plant lust list. So Carol, I need to talk to you.
Yeah, this is a pretty extraordinary plant. One of my faves.
And this is another well, I thought this was a California native. It says Mexico. So this is Perityle incana, Guadalupe Island. Oh, it's the Guadalupe Island Rocktaceae. Okay, this is not the one I was thinking. This does, of course, coming from the islands down there, is it just the islands? This would grow well in a native garden. It looks a little sort of almost like a Dusty Miller, but it's, I think, a little more elegant looking. This has wonderful foliage, and Carol says to prune after flowering to retain the bushy form. Sun to light shade and very low water. Yes.
Someone does have a question. Is it part of CFP? Orchid Black says yes.
Yes, it is. Part of the California Floristic Province.
Which, of course, the California Floristic Province, for those who don't know, doesn't follow the borders. You need to look it up on a map. It's quite interesting. It starts in Oregon and ends in Mexico and out onto the islands. So the California Floristic Province is actually, I think it's in tonight's book. That's going to be part of the door prize. You can probably see a nice map in that book. So. If not, you can look it up online. This is April. Curtis has sent this in. This is Eochroma Pretty in Pink. And for anyone who grows Eochroma, you know, these are hummingbird magnets. There are, in my garden, I have the purple one, the much more common Eochroma cyanea, I think it is. And there are fights every morning. I have about 6 hummingbirds that do aerial battles to try and claim the thing. So they're related to things like angels, trumpets, and daturas, and in that family. And they grow fast. It's a kind of soft growth that hardens off. It will develop some sort of semi-woody stems, and can be pruned hard if you need to. They're frost tender. They do like their water, but once they get deeply watered, they can actually go a fair amount of time between waterings, and they tend to bloom all throughout warm weather. So if you want to have a natural source of nectar for hummingbirds in your garden that goes nearly year round, or at least in warm weather, this one, you can't beat the Eochromas. This is Indigofera tinctoria. This is true indigo, so this is grown for creating a dye that's, of course, gives us the word indigo. It's that purplish blue, that very, very deep purplish blue. The dye is produced from the leaves, and I think also the roots, if I'm not mistaken. I seem to recall reading that somewhere many years ago. And she says she's been growing this for 6 years, and deciduous perennial to about 4 feet, and it's from Asia and Africa, and she got it at the Huntington sale. I missed seeing April's garden. I'm so sorry I didn't get to see it when she actually invited people. And anyway, I have a rose for her, so I'm going to be talking to her. I'll get a private viewing, I think. She also sent in this. This is Salvia africana caerulea, blue African sage. The 2 most common sages from Africa are from the Cape region, and both of them are shrubby and can take this blistering hot sun They're extremely tough. They can be cut back as hard as you need to. This one with this, they're really lovely pale blue flowers with a little hint of lavender to them. And then there's there's a couple of different forms of Salvia lutea that are really quite worth looking at. This was purchased at the Huntington. You can get them at other nurseries occasionally. You do see these, and they take a little while to establish, but once you do, they tend to be really easy to grow, and will grow in a just a moderately watered garden, even down to, if depending on your soil. I've had these get by with once a month watering on some of the sort of more clay-like soils. You actually need to be really careful about not overwatering them. So take a look at some of these African salvias. Are definitely worth growing. And I do think that might be, yes, that is it. So thank you everyone for sending in plants for the forum, and I will turn it back over so we can hear Bart give us what I hope is a wonderful talk. I'm expecting it.
I'm sure it will be. And we actually have a question in the chat about why have plants in the presentation that are from Asia? And I think it's important to showcase some of the plants that are growing in our area. I think it's really nice too, to see the different colors, the different blooms, and maybe make people familiar with plants that they wouldn't normally have grown on their own or have known that could be grown in the area. So we do have a nice blend of natives that are presented and some that are not native to California, but that grow well here.
Yeah, there was a nice cross section there. Actually, you had pretty much covered almost everything in this one.
Yeah. And it's nice to have members share, what they're proud of in their gardens right now too. And the plant forum is a great opportunity for anyone who has not been a part of our webinars before. It's a great opportunity to learn from others and also to ask questions. So if you ever find anything out in your walks or out in a park that you just need help identifying as well, maybe something that you'd like to try growing on your own, but you can't identify it, you can always send that in to us as well. And we talk about it here. We send it to our board for anything that hasn't been identified. And so we run through our plant gurus to find the best answers and educate, because that's really what we're all about at the Southern California Horticulture Society, is really to educate on horticulture and to spread